Besides being vibrant and naturally beautiful, the Caribbean is filled with diversity and cultural differences. This tropical paradise is a feast for the senses, with its stunning beaches, lush landscapes, and a symphony of languages that reflects the region's rich history and cultural melting pot. Step into the captivating realm where English, Spanish, French, and various dialects dance harmoniously, painting a portrait of diversity unlike any other. From the reggae-infused rhythms of Jamaica to the sizzling salsa beats of Cuba, each syllable resonates with the echoes of history and the spirit of the Caribbean soul. Join us on an exciting linguistic odyssey, where every word is a treasure waiting to be unearthed, and every language is a melody in the symphony of Caribbean culture. Let's embark on this journey together, where the beauty of language intertwines with the allure of paradise. Let's get started. Language versus dialect versus Creole. As always, it's important to frame the context of our exploration before we get started. We all know what language is, but apart from a language, dialects and Creoles are sometimes used interchangeably. It is therefore important to define and understand the differences between a language, a dialect, and a Creole before we get started. Though distinct in definition, language, dialect, and Creole often overlap in reality, making it less clear which is which. Generally speaking, a language is a grand construct of expression, which includes universal words, grammar, symbols, punctuations, etc. English, Swahili, Mandarin, and Arabic are examples of languages, as they are all distinct from each other. And it is languages like these that most people think of when they imagine the word language. On the other hand, a dialect is an offshoot of a language, often based on a specific geographic locale or group of people. Dialects follow the same core rule of a specific language, but often differ in pronunciation, vocabulary, and even grammar from the standard language. However, it maintains intelligibility. In other words, people with different dialects can understand each other. There are dozens of dialects associated with a language, and the delineation between them can often be subjective. Still, if two people can understand each other, it is not considered another language. Finally, we have the more tricky category of Creoles. A Creole is a unique linguistic phenomenon that emerges from a combination of two or more languages. Their grammar tends to be simplified compared to either parent language, and vocabulary is often the most different as it is taken from various languages. While we will mention some of the Creole languages found throughout the Caribbean, we will not focus on them in today's video, as there are so many. But let us know in the comment section below if you would like to see a future video on them. As you can see, the term language can be nebulous, but generally, language is a comprehensive structure. Dialects echo regional nuances, and Creoles embody the harmonious convergence of linguistic influences. So, without further ado, let us look at the various languages you will find throughout the Caribbean. We start with the language of this channel and the one most synonymous with the region, English. The British brought English to the region during the colonial period when the first permanent English colonies were founded at St. Kitts and Barbados. However, you would be surprised to know that English is only the third most spoken language in the Caribbean. While it is the most spoken in terms of the number of countries and territories, due to the relatively small populations of the English-speaking countries, only about 14% of Caribbean population are English speakers, which equates to about 6 million people. English is the official language of about 19 Caribbean countries and territories, including Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados, the British Virgin Islands, and the Cayman Islands. In addition, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and Belize also have English as their official language. Other Caribbean countries where English is the official language include St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos Islands, Montserrat, and the US Virgin Islands. English is also the official language of Puerto Rico, as it is part of the United States. However, less than 10% of the territory speaks it. English throughout the Caribbean can have a range of dialects, with some drifting so far as to make it difficult for other English speakers to understand. Most notable is Jamaican Patois, which can be difficult for even other Caribbean English speakers to understand. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more insightful content like this. Your support means the world to us. Thank you. Next on our list, Spanish is the most spoken language in the Caribbean in terms of the number of speakers. Spanish was introduced to the Caribbean from the first Western discovery of the region by Christopher Columbus in 1492. Landing in what is now called the Dominican Republic, Spanish was the dominant language during the early colonial period, as the British and French had yet to claim any territories nearly a century later. The Caribbean English speakers are vastly outnumbered by Spanish speakers by a ratio of about 4-1 due to the high densities of populations on the much larger Spanish-speaking islands. About 64% of Caribbeans speak Spanish as their primary language, and many more are taught in schools. Spanish is the official language of Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. There are also significant Spanish speakers in Belize, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana. About 25 million people in the Caribbean speak Spanish, far surpassing the 6 million English speakers. Now we move to the second largest language in the Caribbean, with an estimated 1/4 of Caribbeans having this as their primary language. Yes, that's right, it's French. Following the Dutch and British footsteps, French settlers arrived in the Caribbean in the 1630s. They established trading ports on Hispaniola, Martinique, and Guadeloupe Islands, among others. In Saint-Domingue especially, which was later referred to as Haiti, the French language and culture were rooted, and Haiti remains the largest French-speaking country in the region. There are 5 islands in the Caribbean where French is the official language: Saint Martin, Martinique, Saint Barthélemy, Guadeloupe, and Haiti. French is also the official language of French Guiana in South America, which is sometimes considered part of the Caribbean. All of these islands remain territories of France, except Haiti, the first colony to gain independence in 1804. Apart from these countries, the French also had significant influence on other Caribbean countries, usually where France turned over colonial possession to the British. Nations such as Dominica and St. Lucia, both officially English-speaking, have sizable populations that speak French-based Creole or full French. The last of the most prominent languages spoken throughout the Caribbean is Dutch. Dutch has the smallest percentage of speakers, with only 5% of the Caribbean population. Similar to the other languages, the presence of the Dutch language in the Caribbean can be traced back to the era of European exploration and colonization, particularly during the Age of Discovery in the 15th to 17th centuries. The Dutch made their way to the Caribbean through voyages and strategic acquisitions, leaving a lasting linguistic and cultural imprint on several islands. Dutch is the official language of Aruba, Bonaire, Carriacou, Saba, Saint Eustatius, Saint Martin, and Suriname. However, it's no longer the dominant language on any of these islands. On the islands of Aruba, Carriacou, and Bonaire, a Creole-based Portuguese, Spanish, and West African languages known as Papamiento is predominant, while in Saint Martin, Saba, and Saint Eustatius, English, as well as a local English Creole, are spoken. It is only in Suriname that Dutch remains the dominant language, with over 60% being native Dutch speakers and 20 to 30% speaking Dutch as a second language. Suriname is the only sovereign nation outside Europe where Dutch is the official and prevailing language of government, business, media, and education, though most of the population is proficient in English. While these 4 are the most spoken languages throughout the Caribbean, others spoken by similar populations also deserve to be mentioned. The first is Papamiento, a Portuguese-based Creole language spoken in the Dutch Caribbean. It is the most widely spoken language on the Caribbean ABC islands Aruba, Bonaire, and Carriacou. While it is primarily based on colonial-era Portuguese, it integrates Spanish and Dutch into its vocabulary and grammar, making it difficult to understand if one does not have a good command of all of the languages. Though there are different theories about its origins, most linguists believe that Papamiento emerged from the Portuguese Creole languages that developed on West African coasts, as it has many similarities with Cape Verdean Creole and Guinea-Bissau Creole. Regardless of its origins, this unique language also has a secondary benefit, as its speakers tend to be proficient in base languages, with inhabitants of the ABC Islands typically being able to speak Portuguese, Spanish, English, Dutch, and Papamiento. Then we have Haitian Creole, which is a French-based Creole language spoken by the majority of Haitians. It is one of the two official languages of Haiti, alongside French. The language emerged from contact between French settlers and enslaved Africans during the Atlantic slave trade in the French colony of Saint-Dominique in the 17th and 18th centuries. Due to the historical difference between Haiti and the rest of the Caribbean, Haitian Creole emerged distinct from other French-based Creoles, like those in St. Lucia, as the country gained independence centuries before the rest of the Caribbean. Although its vocabulary largely derives from French, its grammar is that of a West African Volta-Congo language branch, particularly the Fongbe and Igbo languages. As a result, it is not mutually interchangeable with Standard French and has a distinctive grammar. The use of Haitian Creole has also been contentious, as some see the language as a bastardization of pure French and had been synonymous with the uneducated. In the past, Haitian presidents spoke only Standard French to their fellow citizens, and it was only recently that Haitian Creole was accepted into elementary education. Last, but by no means least, we group the range of indigenous languages still spoken by a few throughout the Caribbean. Unfortunately, many indigenous languages spoken by the Caribbean's earliest inhabitants, such as the Caribs, Taino, and Kalinago people, are no longer spoken in the region and have died out over the years. However, some indigenous people, particularly in the southern Caribbean countries of Guyana and Suriname, still speak their native tongues. Among small communities in Guyana, the native languages such as Akawayo, Makushi, Waiwai, Arawak, Patamona, Wawu, Carib, Wapishana, and Arikuna are spoken by a few people. In Suriname, 11 native languages are listed, including Akurio, Moayana, Worao, and Wayana. The number of speakers of these languages will most likely remain unknown, as many of them are nomadic people who live within the interiors of these countries in the Amazon. However, the biggest communities are estimated to be the languages of Arawakan and Carib descent. As you can see, the Caribbean is a linguistic mosaic, reflecting a kaleidoscope of languages that tell the story of its rich history and cultural diversity. These languages are not just means of communication, but integral parts of Caribbean identity, shaping art, music, and daily life. As the Caribbean evolves, so do its languages, adapting to new influences while preserving their distinctiveness. This linguistic dynamism therefore becomes a living testament to the ongoing dialogue between tradition and innovation. Check out this video about the people of the Caribbean and the ethnic diversity of independent Caribbean countries. We'd love to hear from you. As we've explored the rich linguistic diversity of the Caribbean, we're curious about your experiences and thoughts. Which Caribbean language or dialect resonates most with you and why? Have you ever visited the Caribbean and encountered a language barrier or found a particular dialect particularly fascinating? Share your stories with us. Your insights not only enrich our community's understanding, but also celebrates the unique cultural heritage of the Caribbean. So don't hesitate to drop your comments below and let's keep the conversation going. Your support helps us to continue to bring the beauty of the Caribbean to the world. Thank you for watching, and we can't wait to read your comments. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon to turn on the notifications and stay updated with our latest content. Your support helps us keep exploring the vibrant culture of the Caribbean. Thank you for watching. This is Caribbean Focus by Jairi. See you in the next video.